So this is the second lesson. This is continuing the greetings and farewells conversations pretty much that we were talking about last week. This is focusing on making introductions, so bringing other people into the conversation that you were already starting with somebody else. So again, grab your books. This is kind of how it's always going to go when you guys have this, so you can follow along in my opinion, an easier way than trying to stare at your screen too harshly. So this is starting on page 6, and at the top of it, our topic for this week is called Mucho gusto. So I know last week when I did stuff, I played the audio and it came out super echoey. I've been trying to fix it and I haven't been able to. So I think right now we're going to just kind of stick with me verbalizing what all these words are until at least I can figure it out. So sorry about that. So we have a few conversations, just like last time, but this time new questions are being asked and new phrases are being brought in. Same rules apply. If it's in a phrase, a new word, a new vocab in term in general, it's going to be blue and it's going to be bolded. And if it's something that we've already heard or like someone's name that isn't a vocab word, it's just going to be regular black type. So conversation A, we have Esteban and you have Diana. So only some of the phrases are blue now because we kind of understood how to start conversations from last week. So I'll read these for you guys and tell you what they are. Again, I recommend you take notes as I say through these because a lot of times in conversation, you need context, as in why am I saying it, to who, and what's the reason for the specific words being chosen. So we're starting with Esteban. He says, Hola, me llamo Esteban. ¿Y tú? Question. ¿Cómo te llamas? So Esteban is saying, Hola, hi, me llamo Esteban. It really means I'm called Esteban. We don't really say I'm called, whatever your name is. You say my name is. So there are more than one ways to say my name is in Spanish because we have this phrase me llamo that literally means I'm called, but in English we don't really have that phrase. So you can put down for me llamo, I'm called, and technically my name is, but we are going to have another phrase that literally means my name is. So we're going to have two. So he says, Hola, me llamo Esteban. ¿Y tú? ¿Cómo te llamas? So last time we just had ¿Cómo estás? This time we have ¿Cómo te llamas? He is asking, how are you called? That's the question. What's your name? How are you called? Diana says, or answers, Me llamo Diana. So I'm called Diana. My name is Diana. Esteban says, Encantado, Diana. Encantado just means delighted to meet you or pleased to meet you. So once she was introduced and she said, Hi, my name is Diana, he said, Oh, nice to meet you. Or delighted to meet you, Diana. Diana says, Igualmente. Igualmente just means same here or me too. So after she introduced herself and he said, Nice to meet you, she said, Nice to meet you too. Me too. I won't play it, remember, because it's all weird and echoey. So we're going to go straight to conversation B, or the second one. So Diane introduced herself to Esteban. Now, one of them is going to be bringing in another friend. This time it's Anna, which we did see last week having a conversation. But this time Diana is starting the conversation. She says, Te presento a Esteban. And you kind of see with her hand, she's kind of gesturing to him with her front. So te presento. Presento looks like an English word. It looks like present because that's what she's doing. So Diana is technically talking to Anna about Esteban. And she's saying, Te presento a Esteban. Let me introduce you to Esteban. Anna says, Encantada. Technically, we already saw this word. If you go back and look at conversation A where Esteban talks for the second time, he says encantado with an O. This time Anna says encantada. It looks almost exactly the same, except for the last letter. It means the same thing. So just like we said before that it meant delighted to meet you, pleased to meet you, it still means that. The only difference is because they're describing themselves as oh, I feel so happy, I feel delighted to have met you. When you describe an adjective, the spelling changes based on if it's a guy or a girl who's saying, I am feeling happy, delighted, pleased to meet somebody, or any other adjective. So it doesn't have anything to do with gender, it's just how you personally identify, but based on your preferred gender, you would associate the the different spelling. So Esteban, identified as a guy, he has an O at the end of his encantado, as in he felt delighted to have met the new friend. Diana has an A, or sorry, not Diana, Anna has an A, and she is still describing herself as being delighted or like happy, pleased to have met him, but because she's a girl, she has the A. So that's something to keep in mind. We're going to come across adjectives like all over the place, and there will be different spellings based on the person who is describing themselves or the person you are describing to someone. So just like a little quick mini lesson. Let's see, what's an easy word? We're going to come across the word alto, A-L-T-O, a lot. It's an adjective. It means tall. So if it was, like, it could be me talking about it. If I'm describing a guy as being tall, I would say that the guy is alto. If I was describing a girl as being tall, I would say that the girl is alta with an A. So just know you're always going to have that change of A's and O's. And if the word looks the same, like these encantada or encantada, it's because it's the same word. It's just a different spelling. So back to the conversation. So Diana says, Te presento a Esteban. Let me present Esteban to you. Anna says, delighted to meet you, right? Encantada. And again, Esteban says, igualmente, or same here, me too. Here we have, for Sandy, a few more conversation questions. So for C, we have Señorita Machado. She says, perdón, which looks like an English word as well. We're going to have a lot of words in Spanish that look like English words, so that's kind of helpful because it gives you ideas of what it means. She says, perdón. Perdón looks like pardon. So she's saying, excuse me. So it looks like maybe they're having like a job interview. I'm not sure. But she says, perdón, ¿cómo se llama? Or, excuse me, what's your name? What are you called, right? Just like last week, when you guys had the two different ways you could say you, based on if it was like for a friend or an adult, you ask questions depending as to who you're talking to, and you change the question to be more for like a friend or to be more for like the adult. So here, because I'm assuming it's like the job interview, like I said, they don't exactly know each other, which is why she's asking a name, and they're being extra polite and respectful. It's a professional setting. So if you notice, I'm going to scroll up so you can take a look in your book. When Esteban and Diana were talking in conversation A, Esteban said, ¿Cómo te llamas? Again with that special S. This time, for C, when you have the two ladies, she's asking ¿Cómo se? With an S. Llama, the letter S that we took out last week, is also not there. So this is the formal way, like the professional, respectful, extra polite way. So she's asking, excuse me, what's your name? Or what are you called? Señorita Daza responds with, Me llamo Raquel Daza. I'm called Raquel Daza. My name is Raquel Daza. Then for conversation D. So we have Señorita Machado again, and now she's introducing someone else. Because Señorita Machado, the blonde lady who was in the first picture, is introducing to another adult, again, maybe at a job, we're not sure, she needs to be in that professional, formal conversation. So, just like previously, I'm going to scroll up again, with Diana and Anna, they were saying te with a T. Te presento a, in this case it was Esteban. Because she's in a professional setting, she can't say te. It would be kind of seen as rude. That's like the culture of how it would be. You keep like professional speaking with adults in the same area. Like, just like your teachers probably wouldn't want you to be yelling out certain phrases in class and stuff. Same thing. Like in work, you use formal conversations. So she says le because she's presenting to maybe her boss. We're not sure to who, but to another coworker. So she says le presento a Ana. Let me present Ana Vega. So Mr. Ortega says mucho gusto. He says nice to meet you. And Ana says el gusto es mío. She says the pleasure is mine. So she was saying it was nice to meet you too. Just another way you can say it. So a lot of these are just going to be like a way to continue the conversation. After someone's introduced, you exchange pleasantries, right? Hi, how are you? What's your name? And then at the end, it's pretty much like, oh, it was really nice to meet you, to the end of the conversation. Okay, our second page, it's usually going to be like this. We have a new question. you might not be that you get introduced to someone. It might be that you want to ask about someone. So like you're sitting with someone, you're hanging out with someone, and you ask, who's that person? So this is the way that you can do that. So we have the first picture, two friends, they're relatively close to each other, and there's another guy in the back. So we have the friend who is like asking and pointing because she wants to know who the other person is. The question asked is ¿Quién es? It's the first question in blue. ¿Quién es at the top just is asking, who is it? So she's asking, who is it? Is it Raul? So she's assuming, is that Raul? Is that who that person is that I'm looking at? But her friend responds with, no. And now they figure out this means no. She says, no, es Juan. So she's saying, no, it's Juan. The word es, es, just means like it is. So it can go for the word it or the word is, and then the contraction of it's. That's why she's asking in the first question, ¿Quién es? Who is it? And then asking again, is it Raul? And then her friend saying, no, it is. If you notice, they flipped. It is Juan. So she had to ask about somebody else. Second part, or second conversation for F, we have the Juan that we just figured out who it is. He's asking, ¿Cómo se llama? So even though he's talking to a friend, he's using the formal, the se, the se instead of the te, because he doesn't know who that person is. So he's being like more formal. Like he's not friends with them. He's not cool with them, I guess you could say. He doesn't really know them. So he's just asking in general, like, who's that person? Who's that stranger? You'd want to use like the formal speak with people you don't really know because you're not comfortable with them. You're not exactly close to them. So like you don't talk the same way that you would with like your best friend with like probably the new kid that shows up in school. Like you just don't know them like that yet. They probably can be talked to like that in the future, but just for right now, we don't know. So he's asking, ¿Cómo se llama? What's that person's name? And then his friend says, se llama Diana. Her name is Diana, the person that he was asking about. All right, and I want to say it's the last one. Don't quote me though, I might be wrong. So for G, you have two friends sitting, and you have another person kind of off to the side a little bit. So Rose is asking, and she wants to know specifically if the person that she's kind of pointing to is Miguel. So her name, or her question, is se llama Miguel? As in, is his name Miguel? Esteban says, sí, or yes. Se llama Miguel Luque. So she's asking, is his name Miguel? And Esteban says, yes, his name is Miguel Luque. So I'm assuming a new student, we don't know. So these are going to be some questions that you guys will be adding on to your conversations. We're going to kind of keep building these conversations as we go on, and you guys learn new vocab. Let me double check there's nothing left. Yes, this is all practice. We're going to get back to that a different day. So we're going to still add. I think I remember last week I showed you guys how to ask someone where they're from. Or like on that review page, it showed that we were going to end up asking someone where they're from and their phone number. So for right now, it's just asking about people and like introducing them or being introduced to other people. But we're going to keep adding to this. So all of these eventually kind of tie together because they're conversations. That's all you're having. I'll stop you guys for this one. And the next time you have a video, it'll be on, I want to say, asking where people are from. But don't quote me on it because I don't exactly remember. But remember, always come back, take a look at this if you need to. Don't forget to look at page 35 that has all the definitions on there. And if you need help, please don't be afraid to ask. All right, I'll see you guys.